A Santa Barbara dad has admitted to taking his 2 kids to Mexico, where he killed them and left their bodies. Good evening, I'm Jesse Pagan.
I'm Marcella Lee. Carlo Chiquetto has the week off. Investigators say 40-year-old Matthew Taylor Coleman drove from his home in Santa Barbara with his 2 young kids on a mission to kill them so that they, in his words, would not grow up to be monsters.
News 8's Kirsten Holmes joins us live with what we've learned about the case today. Kirsten?
Hey, I'm here at the San Diego FBI office where in my hand I'm holding the criminal complaint against Matthew Taylor Coleman. This details the gruesome murder of his 2 young children because he says he wanted to save the world after he was enlightened by QAnon and Illuminati conspiracy theories that he found on the internet. The complaint says that on Saturday, August 7th, Matthew Taylor Coleman took his 10-month-old and 2-year-old from his home in Santa Barbara, California, to Rosarito, Baja, California. The criminal complaint says his wife called police concerned for his safety when he left with their children because he wasn't answering her or other family members who were reaching out to him. But she says she did not believe that she, or their children were in danger. While in Rosarito, the complaint says Coleman murdered his children using a spearfishing gun into their chests. Coleman said he believed his children were going to grow into monsters and that he had to kill them after he was enlightened by QAnon and Illuminati conspiracy theories. He says he was also having visions and signs that his wife had serpent DNA and passed that DNA on to his children. The court filing says Coleman believed he was saving the world from monsters. Coleman told investigators that since he didn't have a car seat, he placed his youngest child in a box for the ride to Mexico, and after he had killed them, he discarded the spearfishing gun and bloody clothes near a creek. After investigators used the Find My iPhone app to track him down, he was arrested on Monday, August 9th, around 1 in the afternoon at the San Ysidro port of entry. Border officials noticed he was returning to the country alone without his small children, and they noted blood on his Mercedes Sprinter registration paperwork. The bodies of the 2 toddlers had been found hours earlier that day around 8 a.m. Okay, so I read through this entire criminal complaint a couple of times, and I got to tell you, it is pretty horrific. And this comes just weeks after the children's father, Matthew Coleman, made an Instagram post about how much he loves his family, including those 2 small children that he has confessed to killing. We have this full complaint up on our website if you want to read it at cbs8.com, but I got to warn you, it may not be suitable for all audiences. Back to you.
Now, Kirsten, what is next in this case?
Okay, so Coleman was in court today, and he will be arraigned on August 31st. He is being held without bail, but August 31st is his arraignment.
All right, Kirsten, we'll keep track of that and see what happens during the court process. Kirsten Holmes reporting live for us tonight. Kirsten, thank you.
Matthew Taylor Coleman was an American citizen, and so were his 2 young children. And because the crime happened in Mexico, attorneys we talked with say U.S. FBI agents will be working with Mexican authorities to piece together their case and find justice, while each side goes through their own individual legal proceedings.
The U.S. can still charge you if you're a U.S. citizen. You committed crimes against another U.S. citizen in another country, regardless of what happens in the trial down there.
Attorney Mark Reichel says this is only the beginning of what could be a long legal proceeding because of the international implications.
Firefighters have quickly gotten a handle on a brush fire in the East County. This is video ahead of it all happening. It broke out late this afternoon east of Viejas Casino near Alpine. At least 7 acres burned before crews stopped the spread. No damage or threat to homes were reported.
California becomes the 2nd state in the nation behind Hawaii to require all school employees get vaccinated or go through weekly COVID-19 testing.
This new rule takes effect tomorrow. News 8's Heather Hope talked with teachers here in San Diego County, some of whom are in favor and some who are not.
And this statewide vaccine mandate applies to all school personnel, from teachers to custodians to bus drivers, and it's getting mixed reaction from local educators.
We think this is the right thing to do, and we think this is a sustainable way to keeping our schools open.
Governor Gavin Newsom announced that all California teachers and other school employees must get vaccinated or go through weekly COVID testing, even though the state has among the highest vaccination rates in America.
It's not good enough. We have more work to do.
But not all San Diego County teachers are on board.
I don't think that a mandate for teachers is really the best decision. I think it's just really a sad decision to make because teachers should be given the choice.
First grade teacher Nicole Riek of the Vista Unified School District says classrooms are already safe with proper ventilation and health and safety protocols.
I feel safe in my classroom, and I think families should feel safe in the classroom too, regardless of a teacher's vaccination status.
Dr. Tom Leet, who teaches AP Biology at Eastlake High School, supports the governor's requirement.
I understand people can make up their own minds and make their own decisions, but this is truly a public health issue.
His class in the Sweetwater School District has already been in session, and he says masking and hand washing are not enough.
But it is taking everything we have at this point to prevent that. And our school nurses are working like crazy to contact trace every outbreak.
The governor says the vaccination requirement will be enforced the same way that all other rules are enforced for school employees.
We have an ed code, and there's progressive sanctions. And
we've been on board with it for quite some time.
Keisha Borden, president of the San Diego Education Association that represents teachers, nurses, school counselors, and psychologists, says largely San Diego school employees pushed for a vaccine mandate and also want it required for students.
Say you're at a very large school, all the adults are being tested or are vaccinated, but then overwhelmingly, most of the people on campus, the students, are not.
She says the only hang-up is making sure schools can keep up with weekly testing.
It's up to our district to really figure out capacity-wise how they're going to now do this every week.
Governor Newsom says that this vaccine mandate takes effect starting tomorrow and that all schools must be in compliance by October 15th. Heather Hope, News 8.
Heather, thank you. A former La Mesa police officer has been ordered to stand trial on charges of filing a false police report.
This all stems from an incident caught on video last year where a young man was arrested for standing near a transit stop and doing nothing wrong. News 8's Steve Fiorina was in court for the second day of a preliminary hearing in El Cajon.
Key witness taking the stand today, Amari Johnson, telling about his confrontation with a fired officer, a confrontation that went viral.
What'd I tell you?
Cell phone video shows then La Mesa police officer Matt Degas pushing Johnson down to a concrete bench during questioning. Degas wrote in his report that he had observed Johnson smoking where it wasn't allowed and that he did not have a paid trolley fare. He arrested Johnson on charges of suspicion of assault on a police officer and resisting, delaying, or obstructing an officer. No evidence was presented of either crime, nor that anyone nearby saw Johnson smoking. A shaky start to his testimony when Johnson took the witness stand. He was asked to point out the officer who stopped him that day in late May 2020.
Is it, I would say the third row, is that?
The third row. What color shirt again?
Oh, white t-shirt, white collar t-shirt.
Wrong man. He identified the defendant's brother, who was sitting farther back in the courtroom. Looking at the viral video again, we see that Degas had a mustache that day, not now. Johnson told the court he was scared when Degas questioned him, 2 days after the killing of George Floyd by a Minneapolis police officer.
He treated me like I had done something wrong the whole time, and he was just trying to figure out what it was. And so from there, I was kind of scared. I just wanted to go ahead and give him what he wanted so this situation could end.
Johnson testified he never exhibited any threatening behavior, that he just wanted to leave with some friends.
I started getting a little, so I was scared before, and then I started getting alarmed. The officer, he was pretty much just still insistent on, I felt like I was getting harassed.
Degas was fired and is trying to get his job back. Johnson filed civil suit against Degas and the city of La Mesa.
There is enough evidence to bind over.
And outside the courtroom,
the video clearly shows that and demonstrates that the man was manhandled, and that should not be.
Degas will be arraigned on a felony charge later this month, filing a false police report. He could face 3 years in prison. Steve Fiorina, News 8.
The group Rescue California revealed a mock indictment for Governor Gavin Newsom outside the Hall of Justice downtown this morning.
It's part of their statewide tour in support of recalling Governor Newsom. Mark Klass, whose daughter Polly was murdered, is among the group. They say Newsom should be removed from office because of his stance on crime and that he's not listening to the needs of Californians.
He's pursuing his own agenda, and it's dangerous for the rest of us, and that's why he needs to be recalled next month.
A small counter-protest group also showed up urging people to vote no on the recall and highlighting Newsom's efforts to help victims of domestic violence.
Sample ballots and voter information pamphlets for the September 14th recall election are on the way to your mailbox. The Registrar of Voters Office says all voters should receive their pamphlets by August 21st. All registered voters will receive a ballot in the mail. But if you want to vote in person, you can find your closest voting location listed on the back of that pamphlet.
Today, a San Diego police officer and former Padres player was laid to rest more than a year after he died.
Hundreds gathered in El Cajon today to say goodbye to Officer Dan Walters. His family says he died in April of 2020, and they wanted to make sure he had a memorial with full police honors, but they wanted to wait because of the pandemic. Walters was paralyzed after being shot in the line of duty back in 2003. Before he became a police officer, he played catcher for the Padres until his baseball career ended when he suffered a spinal injury.